Hey everyone, welcome to our Healing Voices YouTube channel and podcast. My name is Lahman. If this is your first episode to check out, welcome. If you have previously joined us, welcome again, welcome back. Excited to be on the journey with you. And this is going to be a unique episode because it's going to feature myself, and then I'm going to do a little playback on like some highlights from the first 9 episodes. So those of you who have been with us here as we've launched this podcast and YouTube channel, you'll get to rehear some favorite clips of mine from the first 9 episodes, and just give you a little glimpse at what those conversations were about. And maybe, if you haven't checked them all out, maybe it'll invite you to consider. Maybe one of the voices will jump out and you'll be like, I need to go listen to that. I want to go check that out. So, but to start, I just want to share a little bit about it kind of, if this is your first time, I want to share a little bit about our Healing Voices and the vision. The vision for me is creating a community of humans, of souls that are aware of our interconnection to one another, are aware of our ability to take care of ourselves, our ability to evolve and heal and grow and release cellular stored energy that's no longer serving us, release thought patterns that are no longer serving us, release anything that's no longer serving us that's in our life today. And so again, the goal is to bring unique voices forward. So if you've joined us for previous episodes, you've heard unique voices, and that the uniqueness is going to continue to grow and expand in the coming weeks and months for sure. So I'm really excited about that. Have some really exciting episodes 11 through 19 are going to be fun as well. Already have 3 or 4 folks that I'm have on the calendar and set to interview that I'm really stoked about. I think you'll really enjoy their voice as well. So the goal is, how can we come together, share our unique voices, listen to others' unique voices? I think so often, take a deep breath on that one. So often we spend a lot of time speaking and not a whole lot of time listening and trying to understand better what somebody else is going through or what somebody else has been through that's causing them to be the way they are or do things the way they're doing, So that for me is, the goal of this is how can we come together, share our unique voices about healing ourselves, about how we're helping others to heal, and also about how we're being greater stewards of the earth and also being a part of taking care of the earth that we live on. So, so let's begin here. Again, if you are a first timer, this is a unique episode. This is going to be a unique episode because I'm going to throw out questions. And my invitation to you today is, your voice is really, really important. It's really important. And I want to invite you. You don't have to, but if you choose, I want to invite you to pull out a journal as we, hang out here the next 20, 30 minutes, and pull out a journal. And I'm gonna throw out some questions to you, to us, and I'm gonna also offer my answers that are real to me these days, and then also invite you to spend some time with these questions. If I were to interview you 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, what are your answers? What are you processing these days? What are you healing? What are you letting go of? What are you addressing in your life that's been blocking you? And whether you're doing that with meditation, with prayer, with friendships, with therapy, with time in nature, with listening to podcasts, with a yoga practice, maybe you're working out and that is helping you heal. Whatever, wherever you're at on your journey, yeah, I just want us to dive in and realize that your voice, my voice, all of our voices are really important to bring to the table. And the more we can take time to sit with each other and to just ask good questions and listen to one another, I think we're gonna bit by bit powerfully heal ourselves and each other and this world, and take better care of this earth. So question number one is, what are 2 or 3 game-changing experiences growing up, or moments in your life that have impacted you in such a way and are so influential still in how you're showing up today? What are some things from childhood? What are some things from the last decade that were aha moments, that really awakened you to something new and exciting? Maybe it awakened you to a new belief system that wasn't ever there. Maybe it awakened you to, it awakened you to a new responsibility for a need in the world. Maybe it awakened you to your purpose. Maybe it awakened you to, just healing in general. So what are 2 or 3 experiences, moments, conversations, times that really shifted the game for you? And so I'm going to begin, and going to just go with the flow here. So again, whether you're watching this on YouTube or the podcast, once again, welcome. I'm excited to have you join. Feel free to journal. If you feel moved, feel free to have conversation with a partner, with a friend about this question, and take time to, just share your authentic voice. And we're just going to start with this question. So for me, 2 or 3 big shifts, or big, like, monumental things in my life, have been, I'm going to start with, one thing. When I was 4 or 5, I had a couple encounters with a neighbor boy, who I'm not sure where he, learned these things, but I had a couple encounters with this boy, and they were sexual, and sexual in nature, and it was found out by my parents, I think my brother kind of was onto it. It was found out when, like, after the second time, I think. And long story short, I don't remember being disciplined necessarily. I remember my parents having a conversation with his parents. I remember I had done something, like, I remember having this feeling that I had done something wrong, that I had, made a bad choice. And it's not that I was yelled at or told, it just was like, you need to stop what you're doing. Stop doing that, was the message I got energetically. I don't remember the words at 4 or 5 of what my parents said to me. But long story short, this experience has intensely impacted my life, and honestly, for the better. In my younger years, it was not necessarily super easy to, like, accept that it had happened, and see it as a positive. And I definitely had a difficult time seeing it as a positive thing. It felt like it was like a shadow, a black mark in my, in the book, in my life book. So as I, have grown, at 19 years old, this experience that I had, I finally talked about it. It had been kind of a family secret. My parents knew, my brother and sister knew, and I knew, and I knew some like neighborhood kids had found out about it or knew about it, but it was otherwise pretty hush hush and quiet. It wasn't discussed much. I was free to talk about it with my family, so that was a great gift. That I know a lot of folks who have had similar experiences in childhood didn't have that freedom to be vocal. So I'm incredibly grateful for that. But it definitely impacted the way in which I show up energetically, right? Because this first experience, so it had been kind of a secret, and and because that experience, like the first intimate sexual connection I had with somebody had been like, I had done something, like I interpreted it as I had done something wrong, right? When you're told to stop something, it's like, if you're eating too many cookies, right? You're getting told to stop it. You got that message, and whether they yelled at you or just communicated like, hey, you can't do that anymore. That like went into my cells in a way that has just been a trip to like heal from and learn from over this last, I guess I'm 38 now, so 19 years. Like at 19, I first talked about this experience with a group of people, and it was like a weight had lifted off my shoulder because I was able to talk about it and just verbalize what had gone down, what had happened. And so again, then talked to a therapist about it. Just recently here in the last year, have talked to my therapist about it and have done more healing from that experience, from what had happened. And this was such a pivotal experience in my life. And really, I think it's one of the reasons I am so passionate about getting real and having real, honest and raw conversations with people. And I think it goes back to this fact that I had this little secret that I was afraid I didn't know if I could share it or would share it or should share it. And again, I'm continuing to learn where sacred space is and where it's appropriate to be raw and honest and vulnerable like that, and when it's not appropriate to be raw and honest and vulnerable. And I've failed on that journey over the last 19 years. I've definitely made mistakes where I've overshared many times, and I pray that anybody who's been impacted by me oversharing can forgive me for those mistakes when I have done that. But this desire for vulnerable connection, this desire for raw and authentic connection, because we all have some crazy things going on in our brain, and we all have some wild traumas that have happened to us and things that we've chosen that we're like, ugh, what was that about? Why did that happen to me? Or why did I choose that? Some of us chose things, right? I've chosen things where I'm like, why did I do that? And so I think I prefer like the deep dive dialogue. I prefer to like, and again, it doesn't mean I don't like talking about the NBA, the Basketball Association, National Basketball Association. I love sports. I love traveling. I love talking about lots of different topics, but for some reason, I'm just continuously drawn to more vulnerable, more like, hey, how are you really? Like, are you doing good? Or are you not doing well? And just diving in is more of my preference. And I think it goes back to that, I think it goes back to that. I think it also, to that desire for like honest, raw, vulnerable conversations came from that experience, right? And that suppression, if you will, a little bit of secrecy, if you will, like it's led me into, I really want to know why people are the way they are and why people are doing the things they're doing. What is motivating? And was it something that happened back then? Or is it like you already processed what happened back then and now you're acting, anyway, you know what I'm saying? So thanks again for listening to me as I process through this. And I think another blessing that's come from that is not only the desire for like vulnerable conversations, but two is like empathy. I really feel as if that experience that I walked through at a young age, and then how I've processed it over the last, 35 years, 34 years, energetically, emotionally, with my healing, with therapists, with massage practice, with Reiki, energy work, with all these different modalities that, talk therapy, just talking with friends. I think my empathy, I have a lot of empathy because of that. Like, just, I feel really like again, I still got an ego. I still get amped up and annoyed and angry and irritated, but I also have developed a gift of empathy that is like, wow, I actually don't know what it's like to be that person. Why am I getting so mad at that person right now? How can I show up better and listen better and have some empathy in this moment? Because I have not walked in their shoes. And I think because that had happened to me, and how I knew how intensely it had impacted the way I showed up as a man and the way I've shown up as, in relationship with women and with my wife. Like, it's impacted me tremendously because it's impacted me so much. Just this one experience at 4 or 5, I just have like empathy, and I just don't want to, I want to just, the second that judgments start running like through the roof, I'm like, wait, hold up, buddy. Hold up. Why are you getting so riled up right now? What is that person's story? Why are you so irritated and so egoically charged right now that you are adamant that you are right and they are wrong? Why are you getting, do you know their story and why they think the way they think, or why they're behaving the way they're behaving? How can you show up with some empathy? So those would be two of the gifts that have come from it, is a desire for like really getting to know people and knowing who people are. That's a passion of mine. That's something that's, has motivated this podcast launch, this YouTube channel launch. I legitimately just want to dive in and have deep conversations with people and get to know other healing voices out there, and no other voices on this earth, that are working through stuff. And then also just the piece of empathy and like, yeah, I don't know it all. I don't know it all. I'm learning. I am learning. And I would imagine most of us are learning from what happened back then, from what happened last week. And we're trying to sort through how we want to show up each given day. So that would be one of the most impactful moments of my life. And I'll follow it up with this my second and final one. Even though, just like you, right? I mean, I've got 14, right? Or I've got 34 experiences and moments and healing things that I've walked through in my life that are impacting the way I'm showing up right now, and has impacted my belief system today. Right? Tons, right? You have tons. I have tons. We all have a lot of experiences and moments and relationships and, interactions we've had that have impacted how we're showing up today. So again, I invite you, whether you're choosing to journal or not, jot down some of those things. What are some of those pivotal moments, pivotal aha experiences where it's cemented that this was going to be your calling, or this was your purpose, or this is what you need to spend your time doing? So again, that's one of a very impactful experience for me. That again, I wouldn't necessarily wish on anybody, but at the same time, like, as I've come to grow, at 38, I'm also like, wow, that experience like actually helped me a ton. And I've got so much more gratitude for it now than I would have admitted at 10. When I was 10 years old and I'm in the bathtub and I'm scared at what I had done at 4 or 5, right? I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but the perspective I have now is like, wow, that has really taught me a lot. And fortunately, I've had lots of different healing modalities and healing beings in my life this last 19 years, this last 30, honestly, since that experience, that have helped me like integrate and realize how that's blessed my life. So So that's number one. Number two, the second one would be that I got to do three. The second one would be much quicker. The second one is my parents are both counselors. They were, school counselors. And so I received abnormal listening growing up, an abnormal amount of listening. I got to process through my days, like very few kids ever get to process through their days. My parents had a thing called share time where we literally would rotate around the dinner table, and each of us had 2 or 3 minutes to talk about our day. And as we got older, the 2 to 3 minutes became a larger allotment, right? Where we would, and so for me, meal times, I just want to sit and chill and listen to people. Like, I don't want to sprint and be done. I'm like, wait, who wants to talk? I want to, let's drop in and talk. And again, for me, that's been a huge blessing, that, the listening that they offered me and my siblings. And also as we had friends over or whatever, that friends, got to experience those share times, those sessions. So that was a huge, huge blessing. Honestly, that's probably one of the big reasons that I have the perspective on what happened to me at 4 or 5, because I was able to process verbally and ask questions that most teenagers are not asking their parents. So I would say that just my parents providing that safe space for me to feel really safe to just share and to verbally process. That's been a gift. That's been an incredible gift. And it also is impacting why I would want to do a podcast. And I really want to listen to people's voices and like hear why they are the way they are. The first 9 episodes, again, if you haven't checked them out yet, I encourage you to go through the YouTube channel or go through the podcast list, and just like, if the title jumps out at you, dive in and check it out. Because every single conversation I've had with each of the interviewees, I've just been like so blessed, like just by their authentic sharing, their unique sharing. So, yes, that's number 2. And then the third one is being married. Being married has been one of the most humility raising experiences in my life. I think when I was single in 27, 28, I don't know. I just like, obviously I was still in the healing journey. I was still healing my stuff, and I still was doing my yoga practice and still like engaged. But I think I had kind of, I didn't realize how difficult being married could be. I didn't realize how difficult a life partnership with somebody raised very like uniquely from myself, right? We're all raised uniquely. That a relationship could be so challenging. And yet so fulfilling. I think that's the real deal. Is like, I've just been amazed at the humility that I've gained from this last 6 years of like, oh wow, yeah, I do that. I do say things like that. Why am I saying things like that? That's not kind at all. Yeah, just kind of, and therapy would, this last 7 months, as my wife and I, Sarah and I, have dove into some therapy. It's been like, whoosh, light bulb moment after light bulb moment, where I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that's why this was happening, or that's why I was getting triggered. And so learning to, I think just humility, and realizing I used to just have like extreme judgment on other people and their relationships. And I think I think now I'm like, wow, this is a journey. Again, those of you in life partnerships, or who have been in life partnerships, or are thinking about choosing life partnerships, like, it is so worth it. And it is also so difficult. And, so for me, that's been one of the, like, I think, especially if you're willing to get honest with because I think this is why I think it's been challenging, is because, and especially that's the voice I'm having right now as I'm sharing with you, is therapy over the last 7 months has really brought to light some zones that I didn't realize that I needed to work on. And so if you have that growth mindset and your partner has that growth mindset, and you both want to keep evolving and keep growing, and again, we're all doing it consciously or unconsciously, but if you have you consciously want to grow and heal and evolve, and your partner is also wanting to consciously evolve and grow and heal, that's going to be an adventure, right? Because you both, whereas if you're kind of just like, this is who I am, or this is who I am, and then this is how it is, this is how it's going to be till I'm 80, right? Or this is how it's going to be, versus like being more in that growth mindset, that conscious raising, like how can we improve together? How can I improve individually? If that's more your relationship style, that's going to be a journey. That's going to be an adventure, because you're not going to grow at the exact same moments. In some moments, he or she might be learning this, which is not exactly easy for you to show up and hold space for. Or you might be learning this and they're looking at you like, why is he into that or she into that? And so that's the beautiful, like, and yet challenging experience of like growing in partnership together. So all that to say, my marriage to Sarah, my choice to be, a life partner to Sarah, has been one of the most amazing experiences, amazing choices I've ever made, because I feel like it's helping me heal a lot of stuff from childhood, a lot of habits, a lot of patterns, a lot of dysfunctional mindset stuff, dysfunctional belief systems that no longer work. It's really helped, it's made those very clear, and really invited me to like, okay, how do I want to shift? What can I shift? How can I shift? How can I do better? How can I listen better? How can I be more empathetic right now? Why did I just come out with that egoic thought just now? Why am I talking about that this early in the morning? Is that really the time for this conversation? Right? These are all the things that I'm learning. So, again, so those would be three of the big, most impactful, things. And again, like I said, 37, we've all got a bunch. We all have a bunch. If we really dove in, and explored all that kind of we've walked through, there's a lot of impactful moments. And so again, the invitation is there, to journal, to have a conversation with your partner or a good friend of yours that you feel safe with. Drop in and just kind of take turns on this question. Maybe each of you talk about 2 or 3. Maybe you just want to journal about it and have kind of a private, conversation with yourself about this. But okay. So this is episode 10 of the Our Healing Voices podcast. I'm Aaron Lahman. I'm really grateful for you joining us. I'm really excited about where we're headed and where we're going here in the coming episodes. But this next 20 minutes or so, we're going to just show highlights from the first 9 episodes. And we're just going to grab clips from those first 9 episodes, and we're going to have you just enjoy them. So yeah, without further ado, we're going to start off with episode 1 with Casey Seal. The title of her workshop, of our conversation, is Love is Medicine. And let's hear from her now.
I think so often we feel, for example, in this situation, we feel the resentment, but we don't take it any further. We just stay in that vibration of resentment until something happens, like something good happens that takes us out of it for a moment. And then we just forget about it. But our body doesn't forget, like our body is still holding on to it. And so I was so grateful for my friend for showing me, like, this is an area that you still have some work to do around. So it was just a powerful experience, an example of like how we can do the work ourselves, to heal ourselves. But we have to be aware in those moments and conscious of what's really going on. Is this really about this other person, or is it about these childhood traumas that are still holding us back.
Mm-hmm.
January 1st is always okay. January 1st is
Right.
cool because everybody goes to the gym, right? Well, guess what? January 31st, 70% of the people will never show up again.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they didn't have really the right mindset. They said, okay, let's do a little bit. January 1st is a good day to do it, but they were not ready yet. And so I think there's a lot of emotional work that needs to go, that you tell yourself, I'm really worth it to go through that journey.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do, and that's for all listeners here that are feeling not really safe or, good enough themselves to go into that journey, I will just tell you, within 4, 5, 6 months, you're going to become a hero for the people around you. Because they're going to look at you and say, you know what? We never thought that that person could do that. And that person just did it. And so that is really a huge, huge thing that people need to be aware of, right? It's like it's not just for you. Once you go through that, it's like you're gonna open a dam for people like you.
Yeah.
You're gonna become a role model. You, the one that doubted yourself and thought you were not worth it, now you suddenly are a role model for others, right? And you can start a whole movement that way.
Wow.
My mom loved helping people. She knew God had a different purpose. When I came to America, I was very, very better. Like I was, I had so much hate, more than like when I talk to people that I know now and someone tell the story, they're like, no way, we've known you. You've always been a very happy person. I mean, my goal when I first came to America was to come here, be as wealthy as I can be, and create my own army and go back to Africa and kill as many people as I can. That was, as an 8-year-old at the time, like as a 7-year-old, that was that was my goal. Like, because what we heard about America is you could be whatever you want and you can make as much money as you want. You could literally become what you want to become. So in my head, I was like, I know exactly what I want to become. This is what I want to do. I want to go and I'm going to pay back every single person that ever had anything to do with my family going through all that stuff. But my mom was like the opposite. My mom is crazy, because now I've learned forgiveness in such a different way. Like, but I can't always say that I've always been like that. I was a bitter kid. I didn't really talk to anyone besides my family. For people that also know me now, like they know how much I love people and I love meeting new people. Back then, like I didn't really want friends. Only people I talked to was my family. Those are the only people I cared about because those are the only people I can trust. Because I was in my head as a kid, I was like, how can I trust these random people in a different country with different skin color, different mindset, when my own people didn't want me? Like why in my head would I trust these people? Why would they want to help me?
The thing the first part that I say is it's never going to be as hard as you think it's going to be, but it will take longer than you want it to take. So you see that there's a paradox there, right? Like, it's never going to be as hard. Like when you're in the midst of learning something for the first time, you're like, this is literally insane. I could never do this. I mean, a personal example, right? I study with my teacher for the Indian drums, the tabla. For people that want to look it up, it's spelled Tabla. It's like table with an A at the end. And my teacher's an amazing musician, Indian man, Suryaksha Deshpande, and he lives in New Jersey now, but was born and raised in India. And I'll go and anyways, there's so much I want to tell you about that experience because it's fascinating, but I'll go and he'll teach me a new composition, right, for the drums. And when he teaches it to me, I literally cannot do it. I'll be in front of him, and I've been studying now for almost 10 years. And it's almost embarrassing. I mean, it's not almost embarrassing. It is embarrassing. But I've come to actually know that that's the process. So I literally will not be able to do it. I mean, someone could say, here is $1 million. If you just do this composition, you'll get $1 million. I wouldn't be able to do it. Like there's a gun to my head, anything. It's just, it won't happen, right? Yeah. And so what I have noticed is this amazing quality of the human body and the human mind with just, and I'm already seasoned, so I play music. I have a musicality in my body, but how quickly within 2-3 days, if I just dedicate 1 hour or not even. Now, again, time is, it's not a formula, right? But if I show up and I look directly at the composition, and I mean that in a metaphysical way, like I spend time just looking at, I'm not looking away, not picking up my phone, I'm not distracting, I'm just looking at it, and I keep looking at it, right? If you want to memorize a poem, it's like you look at it, and then you try to say the first line. And no, I don't have it. Look at it again. Okay. Oh man, it's so hard. Just look at it again, right? So it's like, just keep looking at it. Trust that it can happen. And it's really like, where is that belief? Is the belief that it actually can happen? Or is the belief deeply that it actually can't happen? So which will win? Which will prevail? So just in a matter of day or two, what was literally physically impossible for me is now possible.
For me, I was just at a point where I was just so tired. I mean, I remember, sitting there in the doctor's office. I finally went to a functional medicine doctor's slash chiropractor. And he was the first person to see me that asked the question, what are you eating? And I just was like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, what does my eating have to do with how I'm feeling right now? I mean, when I think back on it, I'm like, wow, zero. I mean, what education did I have on food?
None of us did, right?
I mean, not enough to even think. I mean, and I consider myself an intelligent person, and I just never made that connection of food making me or affecting the way that I felt.
I don't like listening to my mind and all of my worries. I just like to feel good. So we have this brilliant GPS guidance inside of us that's always saying, go this way, go this way, go this way, because it feels good. And we've literally been trained out of our alignment by society. And this happened the moment we were born. You're born naked, free, boom, into the world. Hello, here I am. And before you know it, the parents go put some clothes on. Go kiss your auntie. And the child said, but I don't want to kiss my auntie. No, kiss your auntie, because I will feel guilty if you don't kiss auntie. In other words, we then start to go, okay, I don't feel like doing this, but there's someone who provides food and shelter for me, aka my parents, and in order to please them, I got to do something I don't like. And otherwise, I might suffer. They might stop feeding me. So we oftentimes, out of survival mode, sacrifice our alignment with source in order to please the parents. Sad reality, but true. This is societal conditioning. Some parents, and perhaps yours sound pretty dreamy, are better than others, but I'm sure we're all parents. And, maybe for a while you got to be angry with your parents, but eventually I would suggest to not blame anyone or anything for your conditioning. This today is where you're at. You're not a victim. You are empowered the moment you start recognizing that there is a path back to your alignment. And yeah, it is a path, it is a training that you will go through. And many times your mind and its conditioning will distract you, saying, I'm not worthy of loving and this and that. So it's a constant dedication, moment to moment, to alignment.
If I'm working with someone that has the mindset, I cannot help them or they can't get better, it's going to be very hard for them to get better.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very, very hard for them to get better because that mindset is a problem. I have worked with people that I have a gentleman, I call him my Superman. Like he's amazing. Yeah. From where he was, multiple surgeries, dialysis, kidney failure, that man is kicking. Like, I mean, his psyche is something out of this world. The way that he viewed a thing, the way that he viewed progress, what he wants to do. And we progress from one stage to the next. He wanted to ski better, and he get back to skiing, and that's something that he loves doing. So they're doing it. So the key is that the mindset plays a huge role in it. And sometimes my thing is like, yes, there's diagnosis of certain things, but yet don't let someone just shut off your fire just because they used to see X happening with this particular thing, and then take this end result and drops it on you. Like, this is exactly what's going to happen to you.
Right.
And you feel like, I have no choice.
Yeah.
No, you can still kick. You can still push.
Yeah.
You have your own fire.
You know, stop, pause, and ask yourself, why do I feel like I want to eat 3 bowls of cereal right now? Like, what am I distracting myself from? Am I really hungry? Am I bored? It's asking ourselves this question. Am I hungry? Am I bored? And am I trying to distract myself from something? Is something emotional going on that I don't want to deal with? And it's taking a breath and acknowledging what's going on. Because the majority of the time, there's something emotional in the back that people that I was dealing with that I didn't want to address. And so therefore I wanted to cover it up with food. Right. And so, and then self-sabotage myself by binging the next few days and then not eating. It was like a punishment to myself. So it's like, why, you go back to self-worth, why would you want to do that to yourself? Why do you want to punish yourself? Because that's what you're doing, right? When you're intentionally eating things when you're already full and you keep eating, why do you want to punish yourself? And now, and part of it went back to that I just suppressed so many emotions, like a lot of Americans. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't feel like it was okay to have sadness. I didn't feel like it was okay to talk about things that, you know, I was going through that were hurting. I just felt like, oh, this isn't normal. I should just be joyful all the time. And so I kept suppressing all of my thoughts and all of my feelings and basically just eating them instead or not eating them instead. And so really pausing and asking myself those root questions and letting it come up.
Every belief system that you have should make you feel so excited, so eager, and so effortless. A lot of our times when we feel really down or depressed, it's because our belief system is pulling us down, you know, it's like draining us, it's dejecting. And so you can do so much meditation and you can eat super healthy and you can do all the workouts. But if your core belief system abides by anything of like, I'm always gonna have to struggle, I'm unworthy, I'm undeserving, any of that on that line, on that wavelength, maybe yours is different, but it's still on that wavelength, those other tools won't be as powerful.
All right. Thank you so much for joining this episode 10. I'm really thankful that you took the time to hop on, whether you watched this on YouTube or you joined us on Apple or Spotify podcast. Really grateful for your support. Excited to continue growing with you, evolving with you, healing alongside you. And I really hope that those little clips gave you a little glimpse at each of the individuals I had the pleasure of interviewing over the last 4 months. Yeah, I am so thankful to each of them for sharing their voice and just continuing to utilize their voice to help others to heal and grow themselves, and also to, you know, in my opinion, when you're healing yourself and you're helping others heal, you're also supporting and loving on the earth. All right, so that's it for our episode 10 of our Healing Voices podcast and YouTube channel. Thanks again for joining us, and look forward to having you join on episode 11 here in a week or two.